Are bats and birds the same? Let's talk about that. Good mythical morning. I am not Rhett or Link, but I am Joy. Full to be here. I am just a humble college student that is going to do a project on some life science. That's right. I'm talking about biological evolution, university, and diversity. Hello, Editor Joy here. I meant to say unity and diversity. I will make a lot of mistakes, and you will hear Editor me come back in here. Have grace. Thank you. To be more specific, we are going to talk about convergent and divergent evolution. Why? Because we at the Mythical offices. Dear Rhett and Link, please do not sue me. We are not affiliated with Mythical or Mythical Productions. I love you and been watching you since 2007. Believe that in order to understand the future of mankind, we have to look at the past. The past being paired with present knowledge will give us an idea of where we're headed biologically. Like PBS Science, states, evolution thus explains both similarities of genetic material across all species and the multitude of species existing in diverse conditions on Earth, its biodiversity, which humans depend on for natural resources and other benefits to sustain themselves. So, what is convergent evolution? It is when two species occupying a similar habitat may exhibit common physical traits. If these species come from different biological ancestors, yet still have a lot in common, those similarities are a product of convergent evolution. For example, who here has seen a pterodactyl's wing? No one will respond because this is pre-recorded. Well, for those of you at home, this is what the bones of a pterodactyl's wing looks like. Seem familiar? That's because it's very similar to a bat's wing and a bird's wing. Bats and birds share a common ancestor, quite possibly the pterodactyl, because they tend to live in similar areas, eat a similar diet of insects, fruits, and nuts, and they've evolved convergently. They have similar parts, but are entirely different species. Okay, then what's divergent evolution? According to biologydictionary.net, divergent evolution is the process whereby groups from the same common ancestor evolve and accumulate differences, resulting in the formation of new species. For example, look at this diagram. The bone that is highlighted in red. It's me again. I am going to let you know that this entire diagram is showing the forelimb, and the entirety of this diagram also shows the different ways that our bones have evolved. They are literally the same type of bone, but they've evolved in different ways and different uses in our forelimbs. Thank you. It is called the forelimb. This is seen in humans, dogs, birds, even whales. We all have mammalian ancestry. However, we have adapted this bone in all of our bodies to fit a specific purpose. That is evolving divergently. We all come from a similar place, but we're not the same species like evolving convergently. We are similar, we have similar physical traits, but we have utilized them in a different way. This is even being discussed today because look at this Argonaut. Argonauts are part of the mollusk family, home to snails, squids, octopuses, and argonauts. For a long time, scientists believed that Argonauts were just another nautilus, octopus, or trying to be one. These creatures are born with an outer shell, kind of like a nautilus, but they don't have an inner one like a cuttlefish. So what do? The females have developed these outer shells and the males have not. Why is that? Well, unlike octopuses, Argonauts are not at the bottom of the sea or living on the sea floor. They have begun to take lives as drifters. They drift amongst the sea and on top of the sea. So that means that they have to have techniques to allow for easy floating along the sea. While their shell lacks the nautilus' more complex internal structure of air chambers, it can still trap air to allow them to float and feed on algae. The shell is also known to be an egg case, which is why females usually produce them. What do males do? Well, they'll try to find an empty shell and live in it for a single part-time moment, like all of us trying to get through this housing crisis. Okay, we're moving on from one place to the next to make sure that we are safe and we can continue to drift. So what does this mean for us? Well, evolution is happening all around us convergently and divergently. It's because of us that pigeon populations are going their separate ways. Yes, pigeons in Boston, for example, are diverging from pigeons in New York City. There have been lice evolving on these pigeons, therefore making each city have to claim a certain pigeon. And the pigeons have two kinds of lice. One that rides from pigeon to pigeons on tiny flies, and others that have begun to evolve more slowly because the genes are just remaining in a certain type of pigeon. We are also evolving. Has that I need a little something sweet bug been hitting you a lot recently? Well, that's because humans are developing more of a taste for starch. For most mammals, starch has no taste and therefore has no reward in searching it out. Humans, though, have evolved with extra copies of amylase is not a gene, it is an enzyme. We have evolved to develop more and more of this enzyme. Mouse that begin to break down starch into simple sugars. Sugars are sweet. So here, clearly humans in architectural societies that ate much more starch are more likely to survive. Therefore, we are evolving a much more taste for sweet, starchy things. And the mammals that eat our garbage and depend on us are also undergoing that same evolutionary trait and that taste for starches and sweets. In order to know what's next, we have to look at the past patterns and apply them to now. Evolution is one way to do that. In studying evolution, we can help find out and solve the biological problems that impact us on the day-to-day lives. It can help us understand why and prevent certain species from going extinct. It's also just a great way to spend our morning. So, like I said, my name is Joy Jackson, and it is time to spin the wheel of mythicality. There ain't no wheel, y'all. It's just the credits. We have to cite things. I know, it's crazy how I'm not a real scientist yet.